Boker Tov, Shalom Aleichem, everybody. Welcome to the Aliyah day. Hope everybody is doing well and being blessed and highly favored and what have you. And hope you're doing great. Baruch HaShem. We are in Parashah Re'eh. Glad to see everybody here. And hope your day is going well. Sorry about that. Hope everybody got a chance to watch the class we did yesterday on kosher wine and what makes wine kosher. I hope that was informative. I think next time we do something like that, we'll have to do a video and then upload it later because in that particular situation, the Wi-Fi wasn't that great. So the video was not exactly as crisp and clean as I would have liked to have had it. So apologize for that. Didn't know that until it was already, uploaded. But just things you learn when you're trying to do things at other locations. But anyway, we had the opportunity to learn about kosher wine and share some thoughts about that and so on and so forth. Hope that was a blessing to you. So glad to see you this morning. Hey, I had a thought this morning. I was thinking, just one of those random thoughts, one of those things, one of those mental exercises as I constantly can say here in Lapid Judaism that we teach people to think and kind of put thoughts together. So anyway, I was thinking this morning, there was a messianic gentleman, not a leader of a small messianic community, but anyway, and I was reflecting on the fact that he recently, referred to us as a cult. And I thought that was interesting. It's not surprising. But the reason I was thinking about it was because I thought, well, that's interesting because, of course, the reason this person referred to us as a cult, of course, is because we reject Paul. That's really the reason. And I thought that was interesting. So walk with me through this for a second. This is just, again, an opportunity to do a mental exercise. And you can maybe when you're having conversations with friends and family who may have the same thoughts, you could say, okay, why do you think we're a cult? Well, here's a mental exercise you can give to them. So if we were a community, a Jewish community that did not believe in the Messiah and just rejected the entire so-called New Testament in its entirety, and we were just straight line, as it were, mainstream Orthodox Jews, right? And maybe we belong to the Rabbinic Council of America, or doesn't matter whether we did or not. But let's just suppose that we were just straight Orthodox Jews. We did not believe in the New Testament at all. And let's suppose that maybe we even taught the Noahide nonsense. We brought that with us too, because, we want to be, whatever. It's interesting because if that were the case, and if you came out of Christianity, let's say, and you joined our Jewish synagogue, your friends and family would not say that you were joining a cult. They would disagree with you. They would be concerned naturally for your salvation, right? But let's just talk about the entire thing. Would they say that we're a cult? No, they would say we're a synagogue. We're Jews. They don't agree with us. They think that the Messiah is the Messiah and what have you. But we would not be a cult, right? True, right? Conversely, if we were a synagogue that believed in the Messiah and fully accepted Paul and everything that went along with that, we wouldn't be a cult either. We would be, like some kind of messianic thing. Again, people may not agree with us because we're not their particular flavor of Christianity, but they wouldn't be calling us a cult, right? Of course not. However, we're neither of those things. So here we are mainstream Orthodox Jews who believe that Yeshua is the Messiah. We accept the Gospels. We accept the real apostles. with respect to, whatever, adherence and what have you, and support, all that. We just happen to reject Paul as a false apostle and someone who taught heretical things, which he did. And we reject his teachings. And because of that one fact alone, there are people out there that would refer to us as a cult. So I find this fascinating. Do I care what they say? No, I don't. I really don't. I've learned a long time ago, I matured a long time ago not to really care too much what other people think about these kinds of things, particularly people I don't even know, right? But putting that aside, that's a mental health thing, and I encourage you strongly to arrive at such a place, and you'll be mentally healthy. But anyway, I digress. So what we really find is that it is a package deal. You can't just not have the Messiah, or excuse me, you can't just have the Messiah and not have Paul. They're a package deal. So again, if I completely reject it all, I'm just a normal Jew, and they may disagree with me theologically, but hey, I'm not a cult. I'm a Jew, and they probably actually would say, hey, rah rah, we love Israel. Great, okay, great. If I take the whole kit and caboodle, lock, stock, and barrel, then I'm messianic, and they may disagree with me a little bit because I'm not a Baptist, but they would say, hey, you know what? We're in the body of Christ together, rah rah. But if I accept the Messiah, reject Paul, now I'm a cult. What does that say, really? It says that the person saying that is in a cult. Why? Because their belief system revolves around a single man, a single human being, to quote our friends from Nigeria. It's just about a human being. It's just about a man, a person. It's Ellen G. White. It's my goodness. It's Joseph Smith. I mean, it's Jim Jones. It's like it's not if you reject. See, you're not a cult member if you reject Messiah. No, you just be Orthodox Jew. It's only if you reject Paul. I find that so fascinating. But this is the beauty of Lapid Judaism, is that it gives you the opportunity to think things through. Nobody does that, by the way. I think we have the market on thinking things through. No, do you think that this gentleman who said this actually walked through this mental exercise I just walked you through? No, of course not. Why? Because he's in a cult, and cult members aren't taught to think. Cult members don't give you a library and say, go read for yourself. Who does that? What cult member does that? Here is your library. Go read it. Anyway, that's just interesting. So today we get to talk about Kosher Reloaded. So we waxed eloquently yesterday about the fact that any Messiah that would come along and nullify any part of the Torah, the law of Moses, is by biblical definition, a false Messiah. And so Christianity, naturally, as you know, for centuries, has loud and proud proclaimed that because of Christ, we can eat whatever we want. And they may or may not realize it. I'm sure most don't. But the minute that they stand up and say, see, the Messiah made all foods clean, which means that you can eat whatever you want, kosher laws have been completely nullified. As a result of that, what they don't realize is they are loud and proud proclaiming that the Messiah is Hasvet Shalom, a false Messiah. I was listening to an anti-missionary one time, a long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away. It was not Rabbi Singer. It was Rabbi, I believe, Skovach, I think is who this was. But anyway, he said something that was brilliant. To quote our friends in England, brilliant. You know, I want to bring back two. I don't know what you call them. What is that? What do you when you say things like brilliant or amazing or awesome? What type of, for you English scholars out there, what is that called? But anyway, I want to bring back two words. One is brilliant. I love it. I love it. That's brilliant. The other is capital. That's capital. So Hashem should help me to remember to use those. I don't want awesome has gotten boring. Awesome and cool and whatever. Those are so boring. I'm so yawn. I want to bring back brilliant and capital. Anyway, this brilliant thing that this man said was, he said, look, you know, people argue, they say Christians look at the discussion of Gamliel with the Sanhedrin in the book of Acts, and they say that Gamliel was advising the Jewish leaders that there have been many Messiah figures, and you know, there's really nothing you can do about it. And basically his point was, if this is real, then there's nothing you can do about it. You'd be fighting against God. If it's not real, that's going to fade out like all the others. And the Christian argument is, see, it didn't fade out. See, therefore it was real. And Rabbi Skovach's brilliant capital response was, it absolutely did fade out. 100% did fade out. And the reason we know this is because the people that were under scrutiny at that moment were Yochanan and Kepha, and Rabbi Skovach said, Yochanan and Kepha were Torah-true, kosher-eating, Sabbath-keeping Jews. And that is not the church of today. They are the exact opposite. And so his point was that it, in fact, did fade out, did die out, because the people who, there's nobody who lives like Kepha and Yochanan. Now, my argument to that would be, well, it's a brilliant point, very capital. That's a knockout punch. That's an uppercut to any church member. But if you look at throughout history, there have always been a remnant of Lapid Jews, let's say, throughout history, and that's you know, you can find that. There's always been a remnant, and sometimes small, sometimes large. But in any case, it's a brilliant point. But it goes back to this idea that Messiah made all foods clean. That I've taught on this at length and in a drosh. It's complete falsehood. But what's also noteworthy is that if that were the case, thank God it's not, is that Messiah would have been erasing 2 whole chapters of Torah, Leviticus chapter 11 and Deuteronomy chapter 14. And that's where we are today in Deuteronomy chapter 14. And so we'll get a chance to look at this and you know, connect back to these concepts. Before we do, let's say good morning and hello to everybody. Good morning, Peaches. Glad to see you. Formerly from Georgia. Glad you're here. Hepzibah, good morning. So glad you're here. Donna Jones, Boker Tov to you. Darren, glad to see you. Zakin Yagal, so glad you are here. Shoshana Brenner, welcome. Glad you're here. Seth, Boker Tov to you. Hope you and Sonia are doing great. And all of Sonia's co-workers who diligently and faithfully watch or listen every day. We're so glad to have them. Leah, good to see you. Nellie Grace, Boker Tov. Chris and Crystal, Boker Tov to you and your fam. Isaac, good to see you. Do we believe in the virgin birth? Absolutely we do. There are actually teachings on this channel about that. You can you can search, use the search tool on this channel and learn about that. It'd be great. Good morning, Lantern Lights. Good morning to Kim Vament. Glad to see you. Yishai Hayes, Boker Tov. Hope you and your fam are doing great there. I can't wait to see you in a day. Good morning, Hector. Hope you and Amanda and the kids are doing great. Kelly Allard watching from watching from the great state of Washington. By the way, on Facebook, for those of you who follow me on Facebook, as you know, that I am an authentic and certified and trained, highly trained faux psychiatrist. I have a degree in faux psychology. And so in one of my sessions, there was obviously a hidden camera, and it captured the entire interaction, which pretty much that interaction that they captured is pretty much all the interactions I have with my patients. And you can see that on a post I put in last night on Facebook. You can see actually me. I look a little different, but pretty much that's the same. It is me. And that's pretty much how it went down. You can see that on Facebook. Good morning, Lori. Glad to see you. Good morning, Shoshana Keith. Glad to see you. Donna Jones, Baruch Tov. Heather Miller. Good to see you this morning. Sergio, good to see you. Hope you and Johnny are doing good. And Danny, who's watching there, glad to see you this morning. Thank you for watching. Amita, good to see you. Hope you and Pinkus are doing great. Yeah, we should have a wine tasting at some point in the future. That would be fun. That's something we could do for the community, maybe. That's an idea. It's a community idea. Come in for a kosher wine tasting. We could have Cheers, actually, maybe they could sponsor it. That'd be fun. That's something to think about. Keturah put that on the ideas list. A kosher wine tasting for the community. Let's see about that. Gianna Boker Tov, Keturah Boker Tov. Stephanie, good to see you. Hope you and Will are doing great. Watching from Indiana. Glad to see you again this morning. Ariella Raffaella, Roy, good morning. Anthony, good morning to you. Ahavat Boker Tov. Sarah Rose Steckley, hope you and Justin are doing great. Come see us. Good morning did I say good morning, Shoshana Keith? Hope you're doing great. There's the Rebbitzin. There's Hannah Boker Tov to you, Hannah. Donna Jones, again, good morning. Isaac, good morning again. Cassia, good morning. Leah, good morning. Hope you and Shmuel are doing great. Good morning, John. Makaya, good morning. Natka, good morning to you. Who else do we have? I missed anybody? Sok, good morning. Milka Boker Tov. Who else do we have? Levi, good morning. Melanie McGear, good morning to you. Glad to see you. Is that everybody? Did I get everybody? Emmanuel, good morning. And Pierre, good morning. Boker Tov. Look at all these. There's so many people. It's great. It's a beautiful, beautiful day. Yosef, good morning. Speaking of beautiful day, man, we got some rain yesterday out of nowhere. So Rebbitzin is like a little canary. You know, a little canary that you carry into the mind, and you can't smell the gas or whatever, the poisonous stuff, and the canary goes, "Caca." That's Rebbitzin. Not that she goes, "Caca," but she is. So if my wife wakes up with a headache, then there is rain on the way. And it doesn't matter. There was no rain in the forecast yesterday at all. But she had this headache all day long, and she was, and man, I mean, about, I don't know what time it was, 6 o'clock, 6:30 yesterday, something like that. It came a gully washer. I mean, it is beautiful and glorious. So anyway, that's just note to self. Good morning, Thelma. Hadara, good morning. Johan van Niekerk. Did I say that right? From South Africa. Good to see you. So great to have Moshe and Corin here, because my mother's my grandfather's last name was Van Slyke. We said Van Slyke because we're Texas, Van Slyke, Van Slyke. And Moshe and Corin, being from Holland, corrected me and said, no, it's Van Slyke, which I actually think sounds a lot better. I'm probably not even saying it the way they said it. Like they said it so nice. But I felt like when I said it like that, instead of Van Slyke, now when I said Van Slyke, suddenly I felt like a count. Van Slyke. Count Van Slyke. Anyway. Good morning. Who else do we have? I got to get on to my topic here. Good morning, Brenda. Rebbitzin saying yes. Move on. Cool. I did say it right. Great. Good morning, Hepzibah. Von Niekerk. and the von Schleich. 1, 2, 3, kosher food. So let's read here now to, let's go to Ma'am Loez. This chapter starts out by saying, you are children of the Lord your God. You shall not gash yourselves or shave the front of your heads because of the dead. You are a nation consecrated to God. Your Lord God has chosen you from all the nations on the face of the earth to be his own special nation. So this is dealing here, obviously, initially with these customs that largely are related to grieving. And so let's see what Ma'am Loez has to say about this, about this insight. He says, the trust B'nai Israel is to place in God is like that of a child to his father. So, dun, 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 the idea of childlike faith is Jewish. The child may not always understand his father's methods or actions, but he has complete faith in him all the same. Israel must place its faith in God without question and accept all his actions and commandments are for his people's benefit alone. Now, this is a remarkable insight because, it betrays the fact that a lot of times people think that they believe in grace or think that they have faith when in fact they do not. And this always fascinates me because there are people running around today who believe that they have faith in God, but they reject his commandments. And the reality is what's being taught here. And by the way, forgive me, but we're also, of course, on Instagram. And Erwin says Boker Tov on Instagram. So Boker Tov to you. Glad to see you there. And Crystal's on Instagram too. So good morning, Crystal. So the reality is that to reject the commandments of God is to express a lack of faith in God. Therefore, to accept the commandments and to obey them is to express faith in God. And that is just a very simple reality, but it's worth noting that if you don't accept the commandments, then you do not have faith in HaShem. You may think you do, but you don't really. So it says, moreover, the Torah wishes Israel to understand that even if their mortal father die, they will never be orphans because God, the Father of Israel, is their eternal Father. Okay? They will, therefore, excessive forms of mourning that were customary in neighboring cultures are forbidden in Jewish law. So, again, the reason that we're not supposed to cut ourselves or shave ourselves or get tattoos and things like that is because we're not supposed to mourn. Those are all mourning things. And by the way, anybody notice? I mean, I know that the Halloween garbage is starting to come out now. It's so disgusting. But Rebbe and I were out about yesterday. We noticed that, man, our society is just obsessed with death. Anybody pick up on that? Just obsessed with death lately. Not lately, but I mean it's been going on for a while. But I mean there's a death obsession. It's very morbid. It's very disgusting. But we're not supposed to. Jews, we have an eternal hope. The gospel has always existed. The gospel message is no different. There's no new covenant like people think. It's the same covenant, the same message. There's really nothing new about it. As I've said, I haven't said this in a long time, but I used to say a lot. There's nothing new in the New Testament. It's true. So it says, various commentators note that pagans did not believe in the soul's eternity. They understand death to be the final departure. When confronted with death of a loved one, their mourning was intemperate and frenzied. Like, they just freaked out. Why? Because they did not have a hope. The only hope was in Israel. Now, there's another insight here about this particular topic that is really interesting. It says, our rabbis derive from the prohibition from the words lo titgodedu, lo ta'asu agudot elu al elul. You shall not form fractions and cliques. Yevamot 14. Yevamot 14. So it's derived from this particular verse in the Torah as well. It says this prohibition serves to prevent two courts in the same town from following different customs, because it would cause great rifts among the people. For this reason, people in the same synagogue or in the same sect or community should all adhere to one custom in order to promote unity among them. So this is a great insight, because this illustrates the idea that within a given community, whether it's Lapid or Chabad or Breslev or Knock Knock or Haredi or Shaz, there should not be multiple halachot or multiple customs. Okay? That we should all be doing the same things together. So the way in which we format our Erev Shabbat here in the great Republic of Texas should be the same way that you do so in South Africa or Florida or Germany or United Kingdom or wherever you are, if you're with Lapid. Okay? Our custom of hand washing should be the same. Our custom of wrapping tefillin, wearing seats, whatever. You just pick your list or whatever. It should be the same. There should not. Listen, this is a very big deal within Judaism. Yes, Leah, it does promote unity 100%. It's a very big deal in Judaism. It's such a big deal that you'll notice there are sects of Orthodox Jews that they all wear the same fedora. Those who wear the fedora, right? They all wear the same fedora. Chabad has their own talit style. Chabad has their own tefillin style. Chabad has their own seat tying style. And so, sometimes in certain Jewish sects, they will wear the same coat, maybe, that the Rebbe wears or what have you. Now, I'm not suggesting that this is something that everybody should do in every sect. All I'm suggesting is that halakhically, that our halakha and our customs should be the same. And we're not. What I loved about here is we're not permitted. It says, you shall not form factions or cliques. And that is such a healthy thing to say. It's so important. So let's look here at verse 3. Lo tochal kol toeva. You shall not eat anything that is abhorrent. Interestingly here, it says again in the Hebrew, lo tochal kol toeva. The word toeva means an abomination, something that is abhorrent. But what's interesting is that this same word toeva is a word that is used with respect to idolatry and homosexuality. So, there are people who would run around and say that, it's okay to eat ham, it's okay to eat bacon, it's okay to eat shrimp or whatever. But at the same time, they would be appalled, rightfully so, at the LGBTQ movement and agenda. And rightfully so. But I would say, what they don't realize, biblically, eating a ham sandwich is the same thing as participating in that agenda. They're both toeva. And so, I mean, let that be a mental image in your head. Okay. Now, this would also include eating treifa. What's beef? That's great, but it needs to be certified kosher meat. Treifa beef. Treifa means torn, and it does provide an inconvenience for those who don't live in an area. Boker Tov Norma, watching on Instagram. Good to see you, Norma. Bienvenidos. For those who don't live in an area where you can get kosher meat, it's an inconvenience. You have to order it maybe, or you have to travel and go fill a ice chest, bring it back. Or you have to go pescatarian or vegetarian or vegan or all three, and that's an inconvenience. But there's really not another option. For those of you who live in the Dallas-Fort Worth area or areas like this, then there's opportunities to go and get kosher meat, and thank God for that. We have 94 people watching live right now. Wow. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here. It's an honor to be with you this morning, and thank you so much for joining us. So let's look at Mamluez. He says, you shall not eat anything that is abhorrent. The verse immediately preceding this one describes Israel as a chosen people, a people consecrated to God. As a holy nation, they must never defile themselves by consuming forbidden food. Listen, we joked earlier about von Schleich. And what was the gentleman's name? I don't have it on my screen here. It scrolled up on me. Anyway, for all of us who are the Vons, the counts of Holland, listen, we're like royalty. I'm kidding, of course, although we might be. But in all seriousness, as Jews, we're like royalty. And listen, we have a prescription that we follow because of our status. We're not allowed just to eat whatever we want, do whatever we want. And so when it comes to kosher eating, we are given the kosher menu. Why? Because we are children of the King. Okay. Good morning, Marcella. Good to see you. Johan van Nierkerk. There you go. Thank you, sir. So it says here, the verse which follow will describe the various types of food forbidden to Israel. These included foods that is impure in its own right, permissible species of animals which are not slaughtered properly, and kosher species which are ritually slaughtered but are cooked in a manner which makes them forbidden. An example of this last forbidden food would be meat cooked with milk. So meat and dairy, lo tov, lo kosher. Included in the prohibition against eating anything abhorrent is any sacrifice which had become invalid. So we're not allowed to do that, right? And this would also include, of course, we're not allowed to eat food offered to idols. That's right, Sergio. Lotov. We're not allowed to eat food offered to idols, despite what Paul said. Paul said, you're not allowed, you can eat it, it's okay to eat it. And then he said, well, just make sure no one's watching you eat it. But if they see you eat it, then it's good or not good. But if they don't see you eat it, then it could be bad or perhaps not bad. No, I'm not making that up. You might be wondering, no, he didn't say that. Yes, he did. Just like that, by the way. Very similar. But no, all stupidity aside, we're not allowed to eat food offered to idols. Okay. And this is it's like I talked about the wine yesterday. Jews we only drink kosher wine because we know that wine has not been offered up in a libation. And that's one of the reasons. So going on here to some of the other insights, let's look at something that Rabbi, let's see here, Rabbi Monk's talking about. Here we go. He said, for you are a holy people. Okay. This verse is almost identical to an earlier verse in chapter 7, verse 6, which made this statement in the context of morals and forbidden marriages. Similarly, forbidden foods, which are mentioned in the next verse, were also mentioned previously in Exodus 22:30 in connection with the command to be holy. Now, by the way, this reminds me, remember that Deuteronomy is a repetition of the Torah. So here Moses is repeating the Torah to us because he knows we're about to go into the promised land. So in other words, he's sharing with us these things which are most important. I mean, it's all important, but the fact that he's reiterating it is what I'm trying to say, carries a lot of weight, okay? It says, as pointed out in the commentary there, restraining oneself from forbidden foods is the first rung on the ladder leading to holiness. It was also pointed out in the commentary to Leviticus 19:2 that forbidden foods are detrimental to the nature of man. That is another reason why their prohibition serves as a prelude to holiness. Listen, eating kosher has a profound spiritual effect, a positive effect on the person. I read an account one time of a Jewish organization, large Jewish organization, that was holding a Shabbaton for a bunch of, I think they were more or less college-age Jewish people, who were secular. And they were trying to, introduce them back to Torah, encourage them to become observant. So they had this big conference over the weekend. And they started to, of course, serve kosher food only, naturally. And the people who put this together noticed a marked difference after about day 2 of these Jewish college students having been eating kosher. Suddenly, the depths of Torah began to become fathomable to them. They began to comprehend the concepts. And of course, a great many of them committed their life to HaShem. Why? Well, because listen, HaShem is God. He knows what we eat has a profound effect on our understanding, on our psyche. And so I just wanted to point this out. It really does make a huge difference. So he goes on to say, you shall not eat any abomination. It says, King Solomon writes, all the labor of man is for his mouth, and yet his appetite is not satisfied. Ecclesiastes 6:7. Boy, isn't that true? That applies not just to food, but to everything. There is no satisfaction. The flesh, the carnal nature is never satisfied. And so this is why people that indulge will end up overindulging. And I know you feel the same way. Some of you could shake your head and say, yep, absolutely. I'm mystified that you have these people, and a lot of times it's Hollywood actors, okay? And they have everything in the world. They have multiple homes and finances, and they lack nothing, right? And you hear about them, and they're strung out on drugs, and they die of overdoses. What in the world? And I wonder if I don't understand that. It makes no sense to me whatsoever. But I wonder if it's a matter of overindulging. The flesh is never satisfied. So, you just indulge until you've got to take it to the next level, until the next level is death. Perhaps that is the issue. So it says here, As pointed out in the commentary there in Exodus 22:30, okay, the connection of with the command of being holy. This will be our last insight here. As pointed out in the commentary there, restraining oneself from forbidden food is the first rung on the ladder leading to holiness. Actually, eating kosher is a prerequisite for holiness. You know, if you're, I mentioned earlier, Paul, he taught the completely unbiblical and heretical doctrine that it's okay to eat food offered to demons, and it's just fine. It's fine. If it bothers you, then don't do it. If it doesn't bother you, then don't do it. I mean, this is a person who was an imbecile, because to offer a meal that had been offered to a demon is to ingest that demon into your being, to accept that demon into your soul. Anybody want to sign up for that? Of course not. Life is difficult enough without opening up our soul to demons. And so therefore, this is why eating kosher is a prerequisite for holiness. It's interesting, isn't it, that the letter writer would deal with this issue? Now what I'm talking about here makes sense, right? Of course it does. So it says, as pointed out in the commentary there, restraining oneself from forbidden food is the first rung to the ladder leading to holiness. It was also pointed out in the commentary to Leviticus 19:2 that forbidden foods are detrimental to the nature of man. That is another reason why the prohibition serves as a prelude to holiness. And it says in the Zohar, Rabbi Yosha explained this statement to mean that whatever man eats is for the benefit of his mouth, but to keep his mouth pure, he must eat only holy foods. Whoever eats forbidden foods becomes spiritually unclean. End of our Aliyah today. It's a wonderful subject, kashrut. You could spend another 2 or 3 aliyahs on it, of course, but we're just out of time. Never are we out of content. Listen, thank you so much for being here. It's a blessing to be with you today. I hope that you are going to have a blessed and wonderful day. Please be sure to subscribe to our channel if you've not yet done so. Like this video. Watch more of our content. I'm going to put in some links to the videos. I think I forgot to do that yesterday. I'll go back and do that as well for years past. And please be sure and comment. What's your takeaway from this video? What have you learned today? Thank you for being here. If you didn't watch the video on kosher wine, please do so. And I will look forward to seeing you later tonight, actually, because we're going to have the fourth week of the Hebrew class. So we'll be there tonight together. So I look forward to seeing you then. Until then, have a great and amazing day.